Okay, it's 5:30 now. So I'm going to go ahead and start the meeting. It looks like all our board members are here, so we'll start in respect for time. I'm going to call the Oceano Advisory Meeting for August 12th session. First item on our agenda is the roll call. So I'll start with myself, Aline Villa, Chair, present. Charles Varney.
Present.
Councilmember Lucia Casanova.
Here.
Councilmember April Dury. April Dury's here. I know that, so I'll go on to Councilmember Sheila Eckert.
Here.
Okay.
This
Next
thing
on the
keeps muting me, but I'm not muting myself. It keeps muting me, so I apologize.
Oh, no problem. I see you clearly here.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Okay. Next, we have the flag salute. Would anybody like to lead the flag salute? I voluntold Charles. Voluntel.
Okay. Ready. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have public comment for items not on the agenda. Again, it's public comments for items not on the agenda. I only see 6 participants on my screen here, so I believe we have no public comment. So we'll go to our next item, which is guest reports. And I don't think there's anyone here from county, sheriff, or CHP, being that this is not our normal meeting. So we'll go on to presentations, and the same reason for there, it's not our normal meeting. So usually we don't have anyone doing presentations on the second week meeting of the month. Review and approval of minutes that I hope you all had time to review and approve the minutes. If not, you can go on your computer and access it from your computer with the link there on the agenda and review and approve the minutes. As soon as you do that, I'll have someone motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
I second it.
Okay, been moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes passed unanimously. We'll go on to our next item, which is business items and the new business. The first new business item we have is, of course, the reason for our guest here today. The well-known Karen White from Halcyon.
Yay!
Okay.
The famous Karen White has her letter of intent. I did send it to you a couple of weeks ago, I believe, or at least a week and a half ago. And then I sent it again today. I don't know if she has it with her to read to us, or if you would like me to read it.
I'm not sure where my copy is.
Okay, so did most of you read her letter?
I've read it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, basically we all know Karen is from Halcyon. That's what she's saying in the first paragraph, and has served as a representative to the Oceano Advisory Committee in the past, has been president of the Halcyon Advisory Group for her community, even though it has no official recognition, but she has held that position. Also, she have stated that she left the OAC on a voluntary basis and is seeking to be part of our group again. Her first priority is to represent the entire Oceano Halcyon area on the OCSD. And she believes that she has the time and the energy to do this. And believe me, Karen, I don't know how she does it, but she does have a lot of energy and abilities to do it. I admire her because of her determination at her age.
Thank you, Elaine.
Yes, I truly do. And so her plan is to seek reinstatement on the OAC through this letter. And also, I'm kind of summarizing her letter and putting a little of my comments on the side there. She wants to represent be on both councils, on the Vitality Council and also on our council. And that her reasoning for that is that she feels that she can best represent Halcyon in that manner. And of course, she was born in Halcyon the same year my mom was born, 1937, and moved to Oceano, then back to Rio Grande, then rolled over Rio Grande, and then back to Halcyon in 47. So she has not been gone from Halcyon for most of her life has been in Halcyon, in other words, except for those 10 years. Retired after 42 years of being a newspaper reporter, photographer, and editor. So that in essence is, oh, and she holds a BS in agriculture communications from Poly. That in essence is her summary of her biography. So does anyone want to start the discussion or have any questions for Karen?
I have no object. Excuse me, Charles, you raised your hand and I didn't.
Go ahead, Charles.
Well, I have some questions. I'll just open with that. I support Karen's being reinstated to the advisory council. And I think that she has an opportunity, or that you, Karen, have an opportunity to play a really significant role if you are also a member of VACO. My first question is just about some confusion I have that, I don't know, it was a few weeks ago when VACO first distributed the list of their members and you were listed as a member of VACO, and then your name disappeared from the list and now you're applying to be part of VACO. So could you help us understand what went on there?
Linda Austin asked me if I would be interested, and I said yes, and all of a sudden I was a member.
Okay, all right.
I mean, she just asked me, very casually, what do you think? And I said, well, yeah, it would be good. It could be good.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you're familiar, Karen, with what kind of, we have a number of issues that, are kind of front and center for us. A big one is the curb gutter sidewalk and flood control project, and a grant application to be submitted to the what is it? The active transportation program for the state of California.
Mhm.
And and I just wondered what you, if you had any opinions or thoughts on that project.
Yes, matter of fact, I think I talked to Aileen about it. Of course, Halcyon does not want any kind of curbs, gutters, sidewalks, because we would have such a serious flooding problem with the high, 17% grades or whatever they are. But I would really support that for Oceano. My question, I think, to somebody was, as an advisory committee, what is your standing that you can accept a grant, or are you going to work with somebody from the county? Or that, that was what was a question I had.
Mm-hmm. Well, the answer to that is simple, that we are not the grantee. We're not applying for a grant ourselves. We're convening the people that do have standing and authority to apply for the grant. At this point, the Lucia Mar Unified School District looks like it's going to be the lead agency.
Yeah.
In cooperation with the county of San Luis Obispo, and perhaps Caltrans, I'm not sure, but that's still being worked out. The grant that we're going to be applying for is due in March 22nd of 2022. Okay, so that's, we understand our role.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, I just was a question, yeah.
Could I,
Right. Mhm.
I
could I
think,
ask real quick? Was it?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Any more discussion?
Okay, yeah, so I have another question. We're also very interested in the rejuvenation and a public plaza at the end of Pier Avenue, and the whole, you know, what's going to happen to Pier Avenue when it closes down in less than a year. And we're looking to, you know, work cooperatively with other groups, in particular, you know, BACO, in, you know, some, you know, common, and with, I mean, with all the stakeholders. Again, we don't have standing other than advisory, but we're trying to facilitate people coming together to talk about this. How do you think you could contribute to that?
well, I saw the, I call it ludicrous beaches and parks plan for Pier Avenue. I do not and will not take a stand on opening or closing the beach. I am neutral on that and will remain that way. But I certainly see the need to develop that area. And I think the critical need is going to be in parking.
Mhm.
And I also would like to see beaches and parks. Well, I've got a lot of ideas about what I think beaches and parks should do
Mhm.
in mediating certain things, certainly. But Lucia knows. But I certainly could put work into that. I have historical significance as far as what it used to look like.
Mhm.
And I would like to see it maybe take on the charming seaside appearance that it had originally with the pavilions and the homes up there. I don't know how you could do that, but
Mhm.
you know, there was a time when Pier Avenue was the destination for dancing.
Mhm.
There was a time when it was a destination for a lot of different things that is no longer a destination for. And I certainly I can see a lot of ways that it could be changed and improved, but parking will be the critical issue.
Thank you. And then finally, one of the things that we're doing to address community concerns about the maintenance of affordable housing, the mitigation of gentrification, which, you know, I mean, is certainly going to be a challenge. As I mean, already, I mean, housing prices are shooting through the roof in Oceano.
Everywhere.
But one of the things that we are in the process of is drafting a vacation rental ordinance and moving forward with that.
I only know, the only really strong feeling I have about vacation rentals is my fears as a member of the board of the Five Cities Fire Authority. And on weekends down on the Strand and some of those areas, the densification of cars and everything, you know, we don't take fire trucks. There's certain fire trucks that we can't take down there. And so anything that I could see that could mitigate, because I do think it's just become one large rental.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I don't know how much I could contribute to it because I don't know much about real estate.
Okay. And then finally, at this point, Baco, it appears, does not want to do any sort of collaboration or cooperation. I mean, yeah, personally, I hope that they change their position on that. But you would be in a very key position if you're a member of both advisory councils, kind of like the Henry Kissinger of Ocean Advisory Council politics.
That's a compliment.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I know you got pretty big shoes, dude, and pretty big shoulders. Do you have room for that kind of responsibility?
Well, I kind of see myself as a middle of the road person.
Mhm.
And you know, I in my philosophy, I want to go to the center. And I think I could facilitate it because obviously we don't need two groups. You know, if we're going to have two groups, then we need maybe two community service districts and two fire departments. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, because there's not enough worker bees who come forward in Oceano to really successfully operate two committees. I don't think. I mean, that's my thinking. My thinking of going on both of them was, well, you know, specifically was to have a voice for Halcyon. But secondarily, I think, you know, I know the players and I think I could help. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm certainly not going to try to be destructive. You know, I'll try and keep my mouth shut to the right swing and the left swing. What's wrong with you?
I mean, hopefully that some of the issues that we're looking at, there shouldn't be any right or left in this. I mean, is it a Republican issue having curb gutters and sidewalks in Oceano, or having more parking for the beach, or that kind of stuff? So, I don't get the whole that part of it, but
Well, I was just describing my own philosophy.
right.
So-
I just hope common sense prevails. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Lucia,
Yeah.
you have a question?
Me?
Lucia?
I'd
Yes.
like to talk.
Huh?
I just would like to talk. Thank you. And I like to say that I support Karen's application. That's all. And that we will find out as things go. And that I think everything will be okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments?
I think Karen would be an absolute asset. And I have absolutely no problem whatsoever with her. I know that she's fair and equitable and it's not about sides or I just feel bad for her that she will see sides that maybe she doesn't even want to have to see. But our meetings are public, open, on Zoom. We archive them. Everything we say is for public consumption. We're not hiding anything. We're not devious. We're not anything. So what you see is what you get. And I know that Karen can easily walk right in and be an asset with no problem.
You.
Sheila, do you have any comment?
No, I think it's a good idea.
Okay, well, I'll try my best.
I read
Well,
it.
like I said, I fully support Karen. I think she's got the experience, the knowledge, and she will be able to kind of help us improve the relationship with there's two advisory councils. We can't do anything about it, but I think she will definitely be an asset. So I would like to motion to accept Karen's application letter of intent and as a new council member.
Thank
I
you.
motion that. Do I have a second?
Excuse me, Chair, as a member at large, I think we should say that in the motion.
Yes.
As a
member,
As a member at large or representing Halcyon?
Not a member.
representing,
Should we say that you represent Halcyon, Karen? I mean, officially?
Yes, I have official permission
Okay.
from
And
leadership from Eleanor and Chris to say that I would be the official representative of Halcyon.
But I mean, and Halcyon is a nonprofit local group.
No, Halcyon, 50% of Halcyon is a nonprofit. 50% is property owners and renters and
Not that it matters. I just wanted to be specific. That's all.
yeah.
Well,
But it does matter.
yeah, it does matter.
Okay.
We have bylaws that state certain designations.
All right.
And I don't know that we have a bylaw that states a designation for a township specifically. We have it for nonprofits or for businesses or for et cetera. So I think the fact that Karen lives in Halcyon and knows obviously the whole area's information and history, that wouldn't take it away. And no one else from Halcyon wants to be on here. So clearly she is the representative of Halcyon, but she would, in my estimation, based on our bylaws, be a member at large.
Okay, however, I came on the board originally as the representative of Halcyon.
Right.
When
But
I
our
was
bylaws
before.
don't separate.
And it got moved around and
Well,
Yeah.
so I think it would be more appropriate for you to be an organizational member.
Yes.
It sounds like that to me, that she would fit under the organization.
Right.
Isn't it
Right.
would-
They meet 4
is
times
she
a
on an
year and
Halcyon
have,
advisory group? We have bylaws.
Right.
Right.
We are not recognized by the county because they wouldn't recognize us. They wouldn't recognize us because,
A local nonprofit, just like the Oceana Beach Community Association, that's me. Just like the OCSD, that's Alina, she represent them, and you represented the Temple of the People.
okay, fine.
Mhm.
However you want to phrase it. I mean, I am representing the temple. I am representing the community.
No,
April has her hand up.
Go ahead.
so just realize that our bylaws clearly state that to be an organizational group, this group must meet a minimum of 4 times a year, must have minutes. And I think there's a third category, third designation that they must do. So
officer.
I just want us to be
Yeah.
aligned with our own bylaws. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, we haven't been meeting, so we don't meet those bylaws. I can make it happen, but
So I think it's the safest to say it's a member at large for now. And then if we understand Halcyon more, maybe we can find a way that it would be an organizational group
okay.
versus a member at large going forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll restate my motion, amend it, restate it. I motion that Karen White be appointed as a council member at large
Okay.
to the Oceana Advisory Council. Do I have a second?
Me.
Rashia seconds. All those in favor or any discussion? Any further
Aye.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Karen, welcome.
Thank
All
you.
right, Karen. You're on the clock, Karen.
Yes, ma'am.
You're one of us now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm back on the list.
I move we appoint Karen to every committee in the OAC.
Okay.
Gonna
I'm
volunteer.
joking. I'm joking.
Okay.
I know you're a hard worker.
Well, next on our business items, we have the Carbajal letter, and hopefully you took a look. Charles sent it out to the council and I resent it out. It's very straightforward. A very short and simple letter. Did you have to?
Want to read it for the record so that it's in our,
Yeah, go ahead and read it. It's for less than a minute, probably.
I don't have it open. I'm on my laptop.
And maybe I want to like to make a suggestion here that might speed things along. I think that the whole idea of writing to Carbajal, to John Laird, our state senator, to our assemblyman, Jordan Cunningham, about the curb gutter and sidewalks task force is important. I think that right now, after, I put that together a couple of weeks ago, or whenever it was, that I have more information that I think it's maybe a little premature right now to do it.
Oh, you gathered more information? Okay.
Right. So I'd like to just kick this down the road till next month, Aline, and I think that we'll have more information where we can make the letter more updated and relevant.
Okay, so we'll just table it for now.
That would be my request.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with the spirit or content of the letter. It's just that see, the state is going to be getting money from the federal government, and then the state decides how they're going to utilize it. And so I need to get, I feel like I need to get more understanding of that process before I
Okay,
be relevant to the congressman.
okay, that's fine. I don't think we need a motion for that. We'll just table that. Next, we got the election amendment to the bylaws, and Lucia did some work on that, and I sent it out to our members. Don't know if you had time to read it, but it looks like Lucia spent some time here. It's like 3 pages, 4 pages.
Well, no, excuse me. I didn't invent those. Those are basically the bylaws of the Nipomo County, the Nipomo Advisory Council. And I just used them as a basic draft guidelines for us to see what it would look like to have our own bylaws modeled after them. They're just basic. What I did, I erased anything that was pertinent to Nipomo. I tried, and then I changed the name Oceano. Basically, it comes down to forming an election committee a certain number of days before the elections, and then running the elections. And I hope you read the bylaws. They're very specific how many people can run for each division, you know, the division we will have next year, the procedures for the ballots. So they're there. Karen, did you have a chance to, they were in the agenda. I'm gonna send them to you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
The first thing that we need to do is one, we need to vote that we wanna go elected. And then we need to change our bylaws and gear them towards the election. And just say, from now on, our recruitment will be by election. And this is how the elections will run. And it specifies, you know, if I am running, I cannot be in the elections committee. So those are just bylaws, are very, very straightforward. But please read them, and if it's something that you want to change, but that's just, we are just exploring, okay? This is just what it would take. But what I wanted to say is also, I talked again to Supervisor Gibson, and he again supports 100% our going elected. And he said, even if a VACO remains, whatever form it wants to remain, we will be the elected body of Oceania, whatever that means. I say, I don't worry about the future. I think it's a good thing to do no matter what. And we cannot just, and we need to do it. That's my opinion. Then I also wrote to Linda Guyton, and I invited her to meet with me and explore the possibility of having one council elected and to do it together. I say, we need your cooperation, because obviously, you know, if we put all this work in there and we keep fighting with each other, I mean, we would like to cooperate with you on this, and we do it together, and we do the pre-election committee together, and we will do it. She answered that she will get back to me. I haven't heard since then, but I hope, hopefully she will get back to me. Then I spoke to the League of Women, because the Cayucos Council has the League of Women Voters run actually their elections. And I think it's a really good idea that we have an independent group, an independent party. First of all, to check our bylaws, they said that they will help us. Yeah, they answered, they will help us in September when things come down. Right now, they're very busy with the recall, but we are not in a hurry. So they will check our bylaws, and they will help actually put on the committee and run the elections, and they will actually handle the ballots. I think that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
And pretty much, oh, and I also asked for office hours with Ms. Compton. the assistant asked me what you want to talk about, and I want to talk about the Ocean Advisory Council going elections, because I want to ask her to support it, to speak to Vaco, her friends, and to say that she supports the elections, and to kind of see what she feels about it. Will she support it? Will she be against us if we go elections or whatever? But I haven't received my appointment yet. They are backing. They are reconcentrating. And that's on my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had one question.
Go ahead.
The election is going to be based on the divisions that we create for the Oceana Community Service District.
Yes. And we would like to have, at least I would like to have a couple of people, a couple of members for each division. So we will have
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You need more than 5 members.
no, 2 each. If we
Yeah,
decide.
that would be 10 members. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
I remind everybody that we are just exploring. We
Yeah.
haven't taken a vote yet on doing the change.
Well, we haven't either. Yeah.
Mhm.
Any more comments or discussion?
Yeah. I have no problem doing a draft of changes to our bylaws to support the elections. But I thought what I recall from our last meeting was that there in general was a resistance to moving forward unilaterally for OAC to do elections until Vaco agreed to that, because we would be putting ourselves in a vulnerable position since they have huge amounts of money. They are populated. The members of Vaco, many are multi-millionaires, and could easily,
Wipe us out.
support
By the election.
by the election. Okay, I wasn't going to use that term. And so I'm not comfortable us changing our bylaws to that we're going to do this until these negotiations that Lucia has initiated move forward. I don't think it serves the community.
Of course, there is no question that the bylaws won't change until we vote that we want to make the change. It's just a draft, just give us an idea. And of course, we needed to have a consensus. But I really disagree 100% that we need to have Vaco cooperate for us to go forward with something that we know is the right thing to do. And if they buy the election, let's worry about it then when it happened, and we will make a stink. But we right now are stopped from doing something right because Vaco is out there and we're afraid of what Vaco is going to do. I think that's defeatist. I think that is very poor. I think that is...
Okay, I don't appreciate the judgments being expressed about my point of view.
Oh, I just think the action, I'm not judging you. I think the action of not doing something, if I feel, it has anything that I think is right. But of course, there are consequences in the future. Then we will face them as they come. That's what I'm saying. We will face them as they come. And if they do win, because they have more people than, and if I'm not reelected, that's just the way it is. There will be elections and we will have to accept the consequences. So, and there is no judgment. I'm saying, let's not be afraid of doing it.
Go ahead, April.
I wanted to, yeah, am I on mute? No, can you hear me?
Yes.
I wanted to point out again that we've been in operation since, what was it, 1996, 1990?
Mhm.
And we've never held elections. We are being told to jump, and we're asking how high in a game that we're supposed to lose. I don't want to play a game. I'm not here to play a game. I'm not here to jump for anybody else. We were working just fine when anybody else was on this organization and there were no elections. There was never a question about it. But when somebody took their ball and left the playground in a snit, now all of a sudden we're told to jump because we don't have elections, and I'm not for it. So that's all I want to say.
No, excuse me. Go ahead, Karen.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the things I think that could hold this up is how the OCSD creates the divisions. And I don't know how you could actually plan your election until the OCSD gets through with theirs, which would be next year sometime. So it's kind of like you might be jumping in too early. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea that this board is elected.
Yeah, of course we're going to wait till next.
But we haven't got to where we've got the divisions looked at even yet.
We will definitely wait for the OCSD. That I thought that was understood. I think we did say that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know that you're going to have enough time to actually put it together for next year, because I don't know how long it's going to take the OCSD to get those divisions hammered out. Because
we'll wait.
I think it's a big task. I think it's a really big task to make sure that Oceano's divisions are fair.
Right.
And that to me is the horse before your horse. So that's all I'm saying. So I don't know how Eileen feels. I mean, the maps came out today. The work products online today.
Okay, so
census came out today.
Yeah.
And the majority of Californians are Latino. No.
Right.
Okay.
I bow to my new overlord, Aline.
Okay.
Yes.
You're in charge, Aline.
So thanks, Lucia, for doing this and not inventing the wheel when it's already been invented. You kind of just put OAC and I see all that. And it gives us like an understanding, of what we could put in our bylaws. And I don't think that doing all this work is premature because it's going to take some time and we haven't even agreed as a council. We really need to, sleep on it and think about it, because I'm like I fluctuate like elections, no elections, and depending on comments I hear and, things that I start to think about. But just doing elections, I think that would be awesome. I think that's the way to go, but it's going to take a while and we need to do all the homework and footwork. And we need to also, other council members here need to buy in and understand that that's the fairest way to go is elections. I understand Charles' point of view completely too, that we need to work on a relationship with Waco and feel comfortable that the election isn't going to be bought out. Feel comfortable that Oceano residents are going to vote for the people they feel are going to, should be on the council. So thanks for sharing for all the work. And
excuse me, thank you, but I want to make just a brief comment again that yes, Miss April says we did our work and we functioned very well for 20 years, and now somebody, no, in truth, we did not function that great, and we are the only council in the county that is not elected. And that
actually we're one of two.
Yeah, so that made me feel kind of what the heck? It made me feel ashamed because we were not in tune with the rest of the county. And the test came that when the supervisors discussed the VACO, it came down to that. We are not an elected body, so it does make a difference. We have been just.
So
So
their solution for us not being an elected body was to create a new non-elected body.
excuse me, April. I
No,
wasn't.
that's a legitimate question.
So it doesn't make a difference that we are not elected. It does not give us a status, and anybody can say you are just a bunch of people that nominate each other. That's what they say, and that's what they're gonna keep saying. And the only way to stop it is to have elections. And if we are not reelected and whoever wins, that's fine with me. That's what we can say. That's what Oceano wanted. And we need to start soon. We need to put it on the agenda and vote on this, because yes, it's going to take time. But we can't wait for VACO to tell us go ahead. What do you mean now? We need to wait for VACO to tell us to go ahead and do something that we think is right?
Go ahead, April.
Go ahead,
April,
Charles, because that was more about Charles. Go ahead, Charles.
Okay, go ahead. That was more about you, Charles, not April, which
I'll
I'm
go after.
focusing
Go
on.
Go
Well,
ahead.
I recall in the supervisors meeting when VACO was approved, that all the supervisors, including Lynn Compton, said, yeah, these this council should be elected. And I think that April points out the great contradiction, if not hypocrisy, of, you know, going ahead and creating a second advisory council. So
Non-elected.
for that reason, and we also, somebody, I can't remember who said this in a meeting, but that, oh, it was Caleb, her assistant, maybe said to you, Lucia, that even if we went for elections, that didn't mean that VACO would be elected. So, you know, those are all things that why I'm not comfortable formally committing ourselves to an election process until this has more time to mature and unfold, and pressure is brought on VACO. I mean, and we can certainly make a public proclamation that this is the direction we want to go. And I think within that proclamation, actually call out VACO to come on board. This is what the supervisor said, and put some pressure on them. But no, I'm not waiting for VACO to do something to do the right thing. But in theory, democracy is nice, but if there's only one group that's practicing it and the other has the control and the money, it isn't right. And so that's what I think.
And I want to piggyback on Charles for a little bit in that, yes, I agree that in the big picture, I'm all for one advisory council and elections. I'm all for that. Then we're just like all the others, et cetera. I am definitely for that in the big picture. In the immediate, I have two questions. The first question is, what did the League of Women Voters say the cost would be for them to run our election? Because they don't do that for free. And the second question is, if we never get money from the OSHI or from the county, how would we pay for that?
I will ask. Thank you, April, for bringing this up. I will definitely inquire.
So I think we've exhausted this topic now. We're not going to decide as a council today whether we're going to go for elections or not. I think that, you know, it's something that needs to be ongoing on our agenda to discuss how the relationship works with VACO and how they're coming along with elections and everything else. So I think we should move on.
Can I have one more little thing, you know?
Yes.
In 3 or 4 months, when we've got the OCSD divisions more in line, you might know more about how the elections would resolve themselves, because there would be specific areas for some people. And I just think you could judge interest more after that.
Yeah.
Just my thinking.
I think we need to come to a consensus as a group whether we want to have it or not, because we are not even there yet. Thank you, Karen. Next on our agenda is we got the Coastal Commission meeting I guess, results or that were held today. I wasn't able to attend, but I heard that it was a unanimous vote at the end of the meeting to approving of the findings. So I believe Lucia, I don't see Bonnie here. She's usually on the call. She was on the call today, but I was in and out of the call of the meeting. But Lucia, do you want to do a short summary?
Yeah, today basically, March 18th, there was the coastal development permit review, and staff made some suggestions. Now, the Coastal Commission approved everything, made 3 changes to the suggestions. One was that the closing of Pier Avenue has been postponed to next year, July 1st. Number 2, that the closure of the beach to vehicles south of Pier Avenue has been moved forward. I mean, has been moved, how can I say? What's the opposite of postpone?
Accelerated.
Accelerated, blah, blah. So the closure to the beach, the vehicle ban from pier down has been accelerated by 2 years. And the night riding, which staff was prohibiting, the Coastal Commission permits it for emergency and going to the bathroom and stuff like that. So in reality, a new permit was not written but the Coastal Commission deliberated and took action. So today was only a bureaucratic, procedural meeting in which the staff presented those 3 changes and asked the Coastal Commission if they reflected the action that the Commission took back in March. Of course, there were lots of people tried to talk and say again, we disagree, we don't agree, and the Coastal Commissioners had to fight very hard to keep those people at bay, because they said that's not on the agenda anymore. That has been discussed. All we're discussing now is, are these 3 changes the staff is bringing us today reflecting our action of March 18th? And the motion passed unanimously. So now there is a new development permit, which includes all the changes that the Coastal Commission made, namely accelerated closing up of the beach to vehicles, postponed the Pier Avenue, and some day-night allowed until the total ban is out. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia.
Thank you.
Lucia, could you send me a brief synopsis of that so I can kind of put it in the newsletter?
Sure, I will.
It's on the website.
I have a question. Lucia, you said that they voted to postpone Pier Avenue.
Well,
Yeah.
What does that mean?
from staff came to the March 18th with a date for the closing of Pier Avenue in 23, and the Coastal Commission accelerated to 2022.
No, they
But-
came with a proposal to close Pier Avenue in the next week.
Next week? What do you
Right.
mean?
On March 18th, they said we want it closed very soon.
No, I'm so sorry. It was postponed. Yes, the close of Pier Avenue was postponed and the banning was accelerated. You were right.
Okay. So
Yes.
by postpone, you mean it was moved to July 22?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, okay.
I'm sorry if I made a mistake. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You.
I think
All
I'm
right.
still confused.
You're still confused, April?
I'm just going on the newspaper and reading it and finding it. I'll just read that.
Yeah, okay. So we're gonna go on to old business. We got, I put OAC elections, but we kind of covered that with the bylaws. So we'll skip to curb gutter and sidewalks and report of our August 6th meeting, which went very well. Charles, you want to take the lead on that?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna share my screen here for a moment. What so we have a we have a good group of people working together on this. The Slow Cog, Slow Council of Governments is on board. The Lucia School District is on board. The County Planning Department is on board. Public Works says they're on board, but they don't have a representative that's coming right now. And the Emi Sujiyama is going to be talking with the Public Works Department. And we have citizen participants as well. So what it's looking like now is that the Lucia Mar Unified School District is going to be the lead agent for the grant, but we'll be working in collaboration with the county and possibly Caltrans. Of course, obviously the county has to, sign off on it because we're looking to put in $12 to $15 million of curb, gutters, and sidewalks with a grant from the state via the federal government. And those will all of that will have to be maintained. The participants in today's meeting were of a similar mind that the more that we have designated agencies that have standing to apply for the active transportation infrastructure grants, the better our chances are. And so that's the direction that we're moving forward. The county Public Works Department has 3 projects on Front Street, Highway 1, Cienega, whatever you want to call it, where 15th and Ocean come into PCH, where 13th and Paso Robles come into PCH, where Ocean comes into PCH. And these are basically the plans that are in the Oceano revitalization plan to, make those intersections much safer. And there was a suggestion that it would be a smart move for us to get on board with that project as well. I think from the very beginning, we understood that the revitalization plan involves some curb, gutter, and sidewalk work, but that's pretty limited. In contrast to the entire community and the needs of the entire community. But that this work down on Front Street on Highway 1 is something that everybody can agree upon. And meaning like the 2 advisory councils. It was also suggested that we reach out to the supervisor's office with more information, that we come up with some specific asks for Public Works, and that we consider in the bigger picture a modification to the specific plan for Oceano. And so those are all things that are on our agenda. I am meeting with the Director of Facilities of the Lucia Mar School District on Wednesday morning. We are brainstorming our approach to recommend to the task force moving forward. Obviously, in consultation and with the advice of the county staff that's present and the SLO Council of Governments. And again at the conclusion of this meeting today, everybody in the room said that they were excited, they felt optimistic that this could be a really good thing. So be happy to see if I can answer any questions that you might have, but that's pretty much the update.
Karen White has a couple of questions. My understanding is that there's a county requirement now that curbs, gutters, and sidewalks be provided by the property owners.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any kind of matching fund to that, or does that just eliminate that requirement? How does that work? I mean, you're going to have to take away that regulation, or?
Well, I'm not sure how that's going to impact. From what I understand, new state laws have pretty much eliminated implementation of those kinds of requirements because, and Oceana would be a classic example of a lower income community where if a family wants to add a master bedroom and bath or maybe a rental or for grandma, that would cost them, let's say, $10,000, and they've got to spend $15,000 for curb gutters and sidewalks, they can't afford to do it. So the state has, I think, pretty much, from what I've heard, have pretty much overruled that requirement. Our project deals with the basic arterial roads in Oceano. This is not for the entire community, but it's significant enough of all of the main arterials to also put in flood control.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Have the infrastructure for it all: curb, gutter, sidewalks, and flood control.
Yeah, my next question was, would more curbs, gutters, and sidewalks exacerbate the flood control on the bottom end of the community, or the lowest end of the community?
Well, and I imagine that you probably remember this, Karen. I mean, Nola Ensberger sent me the 2004 flood control plan for the community of Oceano. That is pretty much all done. I mean, it's there. That's kind of one of the other neat things about doing this is that most of the information, most of the specs, most of the the design stuff is all done. It's been sitting there for almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's some upgrading, but it's there. So pull it off the shelf, dust it off. It'd be pretty easy to put together some of this, stuff. I mean, just compared to if we had none of this.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty exciting.
And some more of it's been done with 13th Street, that problem solving.
Right.
That takes more off. Yeah.
And there's sidewalks, that came in on the safe schools thing, sidewalks for safe schools. But that applies. And the great thing about Andy Stenson, who's, on the group from Lucia Mar, Andy has been with Lucia Mar for over 20 years. He was superintendent. He was principals. He was a teacher. I mean, he's done every job there. And as Aline can testify, and many others can, that Oceano schools, I mean, Lucia Mar takes its hits from people. But in terms of Oceano Elementary School, I mean, they are considered just a very safe, responsive, inclusive, trustable institution in our community. And the kids that attend Oceano Elementary School are spread all over Oceano, and a lot of them on the west side of Highway 1. So this is going to really, the big cart that we're going to hook the horses to is the safety pedestrian safety and bicycle safety, so that no kid will have to go more than a block and a half to get to a curb, gutter, and sidewalked street to get to school safely. And then all the other positive consequences of that. And that would be, so then I can, this is a long answer to your question, but the people that front those streets, those arterials, are going to benefit from free curbs, gutters, and sidewalks.
Yeah.
You know, and not to, you know, not that we wouldn't want that for everybody, but that when you have that infrastructure, then you can start really pecking away at it, you know, with future grants. And so that's part of the optimism that people are feeling.
That'd be great. Yeah. Yeah. It make the community look more like it was halfway more finished than it has been. It looks so raggle-taggle in a lot of ways. That yeah.
Right. I mean, I go down Paso Robles, and I was looking at curb, gutters, and sidewalks on, let's say it would be the north side of Paso Robles, and where they're at, they're almost a foot above the existing roadbed. So I can see that in the flood control plan that the county has for Oceano, they have to have that, you know, because all these piecemeal curb, gutters, and sidewalk all have to align, right? And they have to work with drainage. So they're part of the plan, but it's going to be, you know, it's a major project. So that's why, it's like, no, we're not going to, there was some talk today about like, well, if just focus on those 3 projects down on Front Street. And I wasn't speaking for us. I can't do that until, you know, unless, you know, we have to take a formal position on it. But I said, I mean, what we have, our position is that we're looking for the big fix, which is long overdue. And this is the time in history to ask for it, because this is when the federal government's putting $5 billion into curb, gutters, and sidewalks.
Yeah.
And we want a piece of that, and we want to be on the front of the line. And I asked, I said, so if we go in for that specific grant money, because I was confused, because I'd heard from some county people that, I heard from Adam Verdeen that, you can't get money like that and then just use it for curb, gutters, and sidewalks. You have to put that into the mix, and we'll all decide where that money is spent. And I got clearly from the county and from SLOCOG, no, that's not the case. If we put a grant together for $10 million for curb, gutters, and sidewalks, that's where that money's going to go. So they've kind of got now, like, so that's kind of the big goal, but then partnering up and all of us supporting these projects on Highway 1. The county has money set aside for these, I guess. So I think it's not so much a question of, are they going to do it? It looks like it's going to happen, and somebody can take credit for it. I think we just want to be part of the team that says, yes, we fully support this.
Well, yeah.
And of course, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't anybody support it?
Yeah. Yeah. I was part of I was among the people that worked on that revitalization project.
Right.
Yeah. I put my 2 cents in.
Yeah.
So we just want that to happen sooner than later, because it's been on the shelf.
Yeah, I was at those charrettes too, back in 2012.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Then we need some crosswalks across Highway 1.
We sure do.
Yes.
So what I had up here is just, it's like, this is how they score the applications. So we're going to kind of reverse engineer this. We're going to go in and see, okay, what points do they give for what? And I mean, and it's like, there's you know, and you know, I think everybody probably works that way writing the grant. But as I just went through that stuff kind of quickly, all the stuff that they're looking for, I could pretty well just go check, 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 check. We got all of that stuff.
We are it, exactly.
Oceano surely meets the criteria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was very encouraging, and made me feel good to see, you know, SLOCOG County, everyone's like working together and excited and wants to move on. And the fact also that the county, it's a priority for the county to take, to work on the 13th, pass the rolls and 15th and over here. Uh, that's positive. That's also positive because that can happen, and then ours can happen in conjunction or right after, I believe.
I was just going to say one thing. My doctor, I go to CHC and asked if there was a way to put a bridge over Highway 1 to the CHC clinic in Oceano. And I told him I didn't think his idea was just a big bridge over the roadway that the pedestrians could take. But I told him I didn't think it could be funded.
Yes, April?
I wanted to interject that the more I know people who don't drive or can't drive or are limited in their driving in our area, and I'm an able person. I drive everywhere, everything. I realize how limiting it is with our lack of ability to cross Highway 1 and a lack of adequate transportation. So it's great that we have a new CHC, but when someone has to take 2 hours just to get there and back home in transportation alone, we're ruining our own good fortune with these things. And I'm lucky I can drive. Karen can drive. Somebody can drive, or call an Uber or whatever. But not everyone has it. I have a friend who had brain surgery and she can't get a license. It's through no fault of her own. And she goes to CHC. So she calls me and I go pick her up and I take her literally across the driveway from a house to take her back home. And she's an able-bodied person. She just can't physically drive. She's not allowed to. So all the people who are in wheelchairs trying to get across Highway 1, trying to go to Central Market, trying to have coffee at the coffee shop, those things are so dangerous now. And I think back all the times to the hotel that is in Shell Beach that got sued because an employee would be required to park across the road where the employee parking was, and she was killed crossing the road. And that the city of Pismo got sued and that business got sued because that was never fixed. And that needs to be fixed. It needs to be more accessible, everything on each side of the highway, when the only crosswalk is Pier Avenue. Not even Halcyon and Highway 1 has a crosswalk. Nothing, no stop sign, no stoplight, no crosswalks in 2 miles, 3 miles. That's insane.
No crosswalks on Halcyon Road either.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not, we've got to have better for us. And it's just waiting for everyone else to do for us is where we are today, waiting for everybody else.
Well, you can undertake that after curbs, gutters, and sidewalks get all done.
Yes, but I think they're all connected. And once we start on one, it helps build the second thing and the third thing, because they're all important, but we've got to start somewhere. And curbs, gutter, sidewalks is so fortuitous right now because of what the federal agencies are doing with helping us.
Right. And you know how when somebody goes like, yeah, we got free gutters and sidewalks on our street, and they're going to go like, well, hey, we want those too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where do you find the street lights? Where do you find the parking? Where do you find the roads that are paved? Where do you find the sidewalks? Where do you find the roads that have new striping on them? Everything over on Strand.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that was pointed out to me not long ago. This side of Oceano looks so
A lot different.
even that area needs improvement.
So
Okay.
I'm so excited and thankful that Charles has stepped up and wanted to be a part of this, but that we're doing it at all. Oceano needs it, and sitting around waiting for the county to do for us gets us where we are today.
Well, and we have champions on our side
We do.
in county staff.
And in the school district and
Right.
in SLOCOG and in lots of things.
Right.
And if we can garner our elected officials to also participate and support us, that's just going to be that much better for Oceano.
Mm-hmm.
Nonpartisan at all, just help us.
That's why it's so encouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm glad, Karen, that we got this thing straightened out, that we are not putting ourselves out as the
Yeah, well, I just didn't know.
recipients of. Well, I mean, that was a talking
A
that was
misconception.
put out by people that are not friendly to us, and you know that a lie can travel 10 miles before the truth gets its shoes on. So I'm glad you can help us spread the facts around on this.
Well, at some point, when it gets close to reality, or when it becomes a reality, then that's when you make a lot of noise with news releases and the kind of promotional stuff that,
Yeah, photo ops and the whole nine, yep.
well, and,
Press releases, like you said.
Oceano next door.
We'll get to that. We're gonna talk about that too.
Next on our, I think we're done talking about this topic.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got the Pier Avenue topic that we tabled last meeting. People wanted to see the last letter we had sent. Hopefully you took a look at it, and maybe we can speak about it today.
Can I give just a little background so that Karen understands what we're talking about? During the COVID closure of the beach,
Yeah.
we really realized that that there is no parking enough on Pier Avenue to accommodate and to facilitate pedestrian public access. That everything on Pier Avenue is geared for Pier Avenue to be the corridor, the driving vehicular corridor to the beach. So people couldn't drive on the beach anymore, and parking was so full of people parked all the way. There was a lot of illegal parking. People were even, selling their own driveway. I mean, Linda Guyton was renting her place for $20 a day. So
Yeah, she always does that.
yeah, we started
A permit would be nice.
We wrote a letter both to the county and to state parks, explaining the problem and asking to answer some questions. For example, why is it that the north side of Pier Avenue, right where state parks property is, it's all no parking? From Pier Avenue all the way to the entrance to their campground, it's all no parking. Then say, why is it that on the south side there is all this parking that it's restricted in the morning because there is a sand sweeping? Can't the sand sweeping people spawn at another time? Or maybe now that there are not that many cars on the beach anymore, we don't have to sweep that much anymore. Anyway, and then we asked, why don't we have a handicapped, disabled people's parking right by the beach? There is none. Zero. So they answered, okay, and then we answered back, and they never answered. So the letter that I sent to you all is the last letter we received from them, and now I think, and they said, okay, we asked, for example, that state parks makes provision to allow for parking for pedestrians, traffic on the beach by devoting some of its nature center parking, which always empty, to make it into day use parking for people who can park and go to the beach. Okay. And they said, we will think about it. Yeah, good suggestion. We'll think about it. Well, it's time now to ask, well, did you think about it? You had months to think about. And the next year, it's going to be very important because the beach is going to be close to the cars. I mean, Pier Avenue is going to be no entrance anymore. People will want to park. So all of those questions that they did not answer. So we need to send a letter and ask for answers. We already sent it. They never answered. So we can just send it exactly the way it is, or maybe fix it up a little bit, gear it up to the fact, because we wrote that letter before March 18th deliberation by the Coastal Commission. So I think we need to send it again.
I was gonna say with the date change, you can send it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
April, I'm done.
I'm all for
Okay.
it. Oh, I'm gonna say all kinds of
Hey, we're back recording you.
bad things. Dang it. I had so much to say off record. I'm all for resending the Karen. I'm all for resending the letter. I'm totally, because we believe what we sent in that letter. My thought is with the new date on it, current date, that maybe we can rewrite it in some capacity to prompt them for a response. Like, we look forward to hearing from you by X date. You know what I mean? Something to kind of kick the can into their lane and make them respond in some way.
I also think that we need to, in somewhere in that body of the letter, is that we did not hear from you and we are following up, that sort of thing, so that they know we sent a letter.
Yeah. And something
Okay.
along the lines of maybe our next meeting is yada, yada. We look forward to hearing from you before that so that we can report back at our meeting.
Okay, yeah. So,
Did you just send it to one person?
no, I sent it to everyone. Oh, you mean, we sent it to the planning department. We sent it to Compton. We
Okay,
sent it to people.
yeah, that was my question, yeah. Send it to everybody and their bosses.
Yeah.
So I guess we need a volunteer to kind of fix it up and make it a little more,
Go ahead, Charles.
I volunteer, Charles.
Okay. I think it might be a good idea to kick this whole thing up another notch. And since the game has changed so much since when we last wrote this letter, and piggyback on this letter and ask for a convening of a meeting with state parks, with coastal commission on what is the new vision for Pier Avenue and as a pedestrian access for the beach and for parking, et cetera, et cetera. It's a much bigger, how can I put it? The solution is really much bigger than what we could have, because we were asking for, more times to park or, and
Handicapped accessibility, yeah.
handicap accessibility. Now it's like, and remember, state parks has a plan, has their old plan to rejuvenate the end of it for vehicles that was going to cost about $3 million. So if they got $3 million available, that's a good start to a public plaza, a cul-de-sac, more parking areas, a whole beautiful thing that makes even the beauty of the thing they did at Avila Beach, that we're even better than that. I mean, Oceano deserves a really beautiful, beautiful, functional, warm, loving, inviting, tourist, attracting entrance to the beach. Remember, it really will be the gateway to the dunes. So
Yeah.
I'd like to expand it.
I understand that. I understand very well what you're saying. It kind of is, the game has changed, and I see how, it's kind of very reductive to just ask for 2 or 3 more parking spaces when we want the whole freaking Pier Avenue. Really.
Right.
So, I agree. Even though so it's really good to ask for a meeting. I wouldn't mention public plaza stuff, but we need to sit down and think about what the future of Pier Avenue is going to be. And we need to do that now because it's coming up. Yeah, that I totally agree that we need to do that. So maybe if you want to do that, Charles, and maybe add a couple of things to the letter, I'd be happy to let you do it.
Well, I'm doing a lot, Lucia. I'd be happy for you to do that.
Okay, but you know that April volunteer.
I'll help too if you
happy
need some.
to write a draft and then you guys review it? Or, I mean, I think Karen would be more than able to, but she's also walking into this kind of in the middle of a conversation. So I wouldn't put that on her this time. The next new letter, that would be Karen. But this one, I'm happy to add to it and then float it out there for everybody to, you know, input on it.
I think we ought to have April do it. She's never at a loss of words.
April's good.
I've heard that once or twice.
A compliment, April.
Oh, I'll take it as one, trust me.
She's a great editor also.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would suggest, you know, so do it, you know, and then by next meeting, let's put it on the agenda next meeting. That we will review this letter and decide to send it out.
I have a
Okay.
question. How much land down there is actually belongs to the public, and isn't most of it pretty clustered with private ownership?
Down there where?
Pier Avenue.
Mhm.
Sure. State Parks owns from Pier Avenue all the way to the liquor store, right? And then even on the other side of the liquor store, between the liquor store and the cabins, that's also state parks.
I think they've traded it for some development.
They were
They're going to, I don't know whether it happened.
they were going to, but I haven't heard that they did.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was going to be the ocean front, or it was going to be back a little bit, but that explains it. So I was thinking that $3 million, they could buy some property too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, they wanted to buy La Grande tract for $3 million. You remember? 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Okay.
So do we need a formal motion?
Well, good. Then I motion that April fixes up the parking letter to include, to make it up to date, and to include
A response request.
Yes.
and also maybe a request for a meeting. Didn't we say that? It doesn't have to
Yeah,
be.
call for a meeting of the county, the state parks, the coastal commission to discuss the future of Pier Avenue as a pedestrian access.
Absolutely. Right.
Okay, I second.
Good.
All those in favor?
Right?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Yes, it's very important that we fix the parking, make it a complete street and access for handicapped people, individuals. It's ridiculous. It's like there's nowhere, there's only like
One
2 handicap parkings.
One. There's one spot.
One
One.
spot. Well, I thought there was 2, but okay.
Inside
and-
that little tiny parking lot. That's it.
Yeah, and that's
County
not,
parking lot,
that's,
yeah.
and the sidewalks are like, I'm in Mexico and downtown Guadalajara, because even the villages now have nicer sidewalks in Guadalajara because they've just put in sidewalks in the villages. So we need sidewalks in Oceano and villages in Mexico.
This morning, the-
Get a picture of that. Look at, here's the villages in Mexico. Here's the
We
village.
can do better.
Here's Oceano.
Good idea.
This morning,
Depending on
listening
this
to the
letter.
Coastal Commission, there was an appeal for some development, and an issue of a substantial issue was not enough parking to accommodate and facilitate pedestrian public access. So we have a huge thing right there. State parks must provide parking to accommodate and facilitate pedestrian public access.
Yeah,
And that should fall under the American Disabilities Act too.
it should. It's crazy that my mom has to walk to where the vehicles drive because of she can't access the wet sand.
Right.
So I don't know if you guys remember when I was investigating this last summer, that the county told me to my face, the reason that there aren't more handicap spots is because on the street, if they mark spaces to say this is one car space, one car space, one car space, like the village of Arroyo Grande has on street parking, that they would then be required per X amount of spaces to create handicap spots based on a requirement. So they won't mark the street to say there are 10 spots, so we need one more handicap spot. They just won't mark the street at all. That's how they get around it.
Unbelievable.
I know, but we'll make
Upsetting.
them work. We just have to.
I think we need to ask for more time, don't we? Are we at 7?
5 till.
What do we have to do?
On our agenda, I've got, I think we're done with this now.
Yeah,
Okay, we got the motion seconded and approved, and we're at number 4, updates, action items, right? Revised budget updates and action items, updates on everything. Revised budget, do we have a update on that, April?
I turned it in. Lucia mentioned it at meetings and absolutely nothing. We're still dead in the water.
We haven't heard. Okay.
have other advisory councils received funding?
I have not put in the public records request yet. That is on my list of things to do, Charles. But one thing I can tell you is that rereading the VACO's, and this is public record, rereading the VACO's bylaws, their bylaws state the only source of their income can be the county. They don't get to get private money, nothing. That's their own bylaws.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know who paid for snow cones and bottled water and everything else at the last VACO meeting. That wasn't really a meeting, that was a cheerleading section. But that will be my public records request next, is to find out if VACO got any money, because literally by their own bylaws, they can only receive county money.
Thank you.
Thank you, April. Also, do you have any updates on the website and social media, April? I glanced at some stuff. I didn't see anywhere where I think we had agreed. I don't think we motioned, but we agreed somewhere that we were going to put a statement saying that OAC has no official position on the airport. Have you done that on the
I have
website?
not done that, and I honestly don't recall that part of the conversation. So let me get a pen and paper real quick. Actually, I have
I
notes
don't
on my
recall
phone.
that either.
I
Do you
don't
remember?
I know we did talk about that because
Do you
we
wanna-
wanted to separate the OAC's stance on things from any revitalization or whatever other organizations. So yes, I can easily put that.
Do we
But
want to table that and discuss, do a motion on it later on, or?
I've got a suggestion of where to put that. I mean, just that brief statement, the OAC has not taken a position on airport redevelopment. Put it in the section of our resources where we have the documents on redeveloping the airport.
okay, yeah, I
There's
can make
a
it a
segment
little
there.
banner.
I mean, I think that would be the appropriate place.
Okay.
Do we need a motion on this? Do we want to make it formal?
I'll
No.
I don't think,
give you
I think,
instructions
because
on
I
how
think
to-
it's just correcting misinformation out there that somehow we have a position, confusing OAC with other groups out there. We have never taken a formal position. And I don't think we're going to we have time to do any of that
Yeah,
soon.
we're busy.
We're
yeah, I will do
working
that,
on
and
other
then-
stuff.
So to go to Facebook, because that's something that has been brought up in the last few days, when we agreed to create a Facebook page and make that a social media platform for the OAC, one of the requests was that there be no comments,
right?
that the outside public couldn't just say mean things about us or post horrible things like they do. And I said that I would look into that. And I made one post on Facebook that promoted a July meeting. But in that post, I can't figure out yet how to turn off the comments. So that's why I haven't promoted anything since then. And I think it was Charles and Lucia or Aline. I think I did say at one point, hey, I think Charles and I talked about it at one point. I can't figure out how to turn off comments on Facebook. So that's the only reason Facebook I haven't done any more on there, is because I don't want to continue to post and then leave more options available for people to harass us or do like they do as they do. So Facebook is something I will do. I just have to figure that part out. As for Nextdoor, which is something Karen mentioned, I said from the beginning, I will not deal with Nextdoor. I have been vilified, pilloried, raked over the coals, harassed, intimidated, threatened, just as Aline has, by the very same person. And I will not put myself out on there. I can't post as OAC without my name. So I am not doing it. I will not do it. If anybody else wants to take the Facebook page that I create or the event that I create and put it over on Nextdoor, you're more than welcome to do that. But I personally, because my name is attached to it, will not do that, because I get no support from law enforcement, from the OCSD, from anybody, from this man harassing and threatening and so scary to Aline, myself, and Cynthia. Not doing it. I'm sorry. That's my boundary and I won't cross it.
Who's this guy?
What's his name?
We all know. We all
I
know.
don't,
Oh,
yeah, it's
okay.
Charles doesn't know, so Charles can handle the next door.
I posted on Nextdoor.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, I saw it on
that
Nextdoor.
we have a meeting, and I thought we were going to post our newsletters out there for people to see. And if I think it's important, I don't know how you get that figured out, April, but in the meantime, I would like to see our meetings posted on Facebook.
I agree. I don't disagree with you, Charles, at all. You're not coming out sideways to me. I fully understand and agree with what you're saying. I have to figure out how to do it. And if that means in the meantime, I just post it anyway without knowing how to do that, I'll do that. But that was kind of what I was working on, was trying to figure out how to do it without there being comments. But I'm happy to do Facebook, and I will update that and put our meetings, and I will update our website with the links, etc. The website's hard. It's not as easy as I thought it would be. And the hour that we got with what's his face, James, that wasn't that helpful. So I'm literally struggling to figure it out on my own, and I will, and that is my responsibility.
No, James said he's available to help you.
I know, but I don't want to ask a man who's already trying to help other people and he has a business to ask him to help us for free. We don't have money to pay him.
Well, we paid him $500, and that included follow-up help. It did.
Okay.
Maybe he can help you how to turn off the comments. Maybe he knows.
Maybe he does. I sell my time for a living. That's all I can quantify it as, is time. And that's what he does too, is he literally sells his time for a living. And I feel uncomfortable asking him to give us more of his time when we've already paid him to create the website, to do what he's done so far for us. I just feel awkward doing that. But if the board wants me to do that, I'll do it.
well, what is it that you want him for, April? To
understand how to
Turn off comments.
turn off comments on Facebook, and to create new pages on the website.
oh, that
So one of the problems that I have is,
comment probably aren't too difficult. There's probably other individuals that know, but the website probably is the more difficult. I
yeah,
have
and I'll
a difficult time
do what we
understand
do.
just with the drive,
Right.
Google
I
Drive.
spent 2 hours just trying to create the link to Sheila's newsletter
I believe it.
for July.
I
That was
believe it.
impossible. And literally, I mean, I know Sheila works as well some, but I'm the youngest person. I work for a living. I only have, and not to take away, we all work hard, but I have to earn a living to pay my rent. I don't get retirement. I don't get Social Security. I don't get anything else. This is
Yeah.
literally it. I work for myself. I only have so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
So I will continue to work on that, but we need more members. More than anything, we really need more members.
The comments part on the Facebook are the ones that is what I would focus, so that you could place our meetings on there on the Facebook, because everybody looks at Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and they fluctuate from,
Right.
Facebook to those
You're right.
two
I agree.
others.
Now,
It also was
One does
further
that,
in for
so
when
it's
you broke
important.
it.
The website
Just
now,
know
I know is difficult, takes a lot,
it is.
I understand where
But
you're
I
coming
also,
from with
what
the
I do for a
website.
living is in quarters. So June ended, July is my busy month because the quarter ended. And I have to get work done starting like July 15th forward and finish a quarter after payroll, sales tax, bookkeeping, the whole nine. So
Yeah.
I will have more time starting next week and I will get back to that. I'm doing the best I can. That's all I can tell you guys. But well, Charles, when you saw what you saw, I'm hoping that really what you saw was just the search results,
Right.
not OAC page itself doesn't have those things that you saw.
Yeah, that was
That's
just a
just
filter.
result.
That's what it does. Okay, so I think we're done with the updates now.
One other thing, I just wondered if the uploading new documents is going to be important as we move forward, because we'll be generating documents, and I think that I don't know if you've tried to do that yet, April, the document that I sent you. But when James demonstrated that, it seemed like that was fairly straightforward.
It is, but let me reiterate that when we met with James, I mentioned more than once that I don't have access to Google Docs to put it up there through the OAC account. So I'm having to put it up there in my own personal cloud storage and then link it over to the OAC website because I don't have access to Google Docs where all the other OAC stuff is. So I hope that we understand that.
Right, but I'm not sending you stuff through Google Docs to post.
Right.
I'm just sending you the PDF.
Right, and then where am I supposed to put that?
On the website?
But we have to save it somewhere in the clouds. And that's what Google Docs is, or in my case, like box.com or any of those
I
things.
thought we save it on the website. We put it on the website and then with the link, and then, so I don't know how it works.
But when you say the link to what?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know the process.
And that's the thing, it's the link to a cloud saved somewhere in the internet, this document. I can't give it a link to my own
I thought they were
computer.
housed on the website.
I thought you could do it on the website.
Hyperlink is there on the website, and you click on it, and then you get the document. I thought
The same way that we do our agendas, right? Our agendas are on Google Docs.
Yeah, but I guess Charles was thinking that it would specifically be saved that. I think we should move on because
I will look more into it. I will look
more into it because we're getting.
Ask James.
Yeah.
We paid for it.
Paid being the past tense.
Yes.
It included follow-up services in that.
Okay, maybe I could like interject and email him and see.
Yeah. Okay.
See what can resolve it. Because we're at right now, we need to respect people's time, and we're at what 7:09 right now, and we didn't even motion. So I want to. We were supposed to motion after 7 o'clock for 15 more minutes, so we got like 6 more minutes. I think we could complete this meeting in 6 minutes. Going after 7:15 starts tiring people physically and mentally. Right?
Yeah.
That's what it does. So we got April, who just did the update, and so her treasury report will be the same except for the $50 that was donated.
Right. That's the only difference is we just received a $50 check that I'll put in the bank tomorrow.
Yes. So
we should start thinking, let's put fundraising on the next agenda.
okay.
Good idea.
So I did buy a thank you card for this individual, they need to know that that we are appreciative of every
Thank you.
penny. So then next we got the Oceana Beach Community Association, Lucia. She just basically just gave us the update, but can you update on our cleanup and a little bit, just like a minute on OBCA?
Let's do 1 minute on the cleanup. We had, didn't I already do it? No.
No.
Wonderful cleanup. A lot of people showed up. We put out flyers. We talked to the homeless people. We got them out of their wagons, and they got to collect trash. We filled the huge dumpster. Now the next thing is that we're gonna go to the OCSD, and because we're gonna ask for a toilet for them, because we need a poop patrol like they have in San Francisco, because they poop all over the sidewalk and all over around the place. So that's wrong. That's very unhealthy. And so we need the poop patrol to clean up. We need a toilet for them to poop in. And we need a trash can for them to use, which is going to be serviced, regularly every week to dispose of the trash. Because we are not going to get rid of them. They're going to stay for a while. So we need to make it as safe and as clean and as healthy as possible around there. Thank you.
Okay, so that was the report. Next time, that was a fast report, Lucia. Yes, it is very unhealthy, and unfortunately, they have nowhere to go to do their necessities, like they say, like us Latinos say, to do their necessities. So they're using the sidewalk, and the urine, the stench is really bad. If we could provide a porta potty, it would be great.
Maybe CSD could put a trash can there that the waste people come and pick up.
Right. That's what we're going to ask.
Okay.
Okay, on to the next.
Yeah. On to the next, the Oceana Community Service District. That's myself and Karen also now. Basically, this last meeting was canceled, and our meeting before that, the gist of the meeting, I guess, would be that the county stated that we are now in a formal emergency drought, as most of California is. Luckily, Oceana made great decisions in the past, and we have an ample water portfolio. What else? So we're still, the districting, like Karen said, is still being worked on. So I think it was March, right, Karen? March, when they are going to come out with their report on their suggestions on how we should divide, and when the maps are due and all that. The public can go on the OCSD.
The mapping program is on the OCSD website today.
Yeah. So you can go in there and like give your suggestions. They have like an app to where you can cut up Oceana the way you think would be fairly cut up.
I couldn't figure out how to do it, so.
I figured it wouldn't be as easy as they say. It's none of those apps and technology things are as easy as they say. So that being said, that was the gist of it. Also, I guess another thing that's important is that
April,
go ahead.
Finish.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. I guess something else that's important is that our manager is open to the selling of our water temporarily to Arroyo Grande, since it looks like they're going to decide to opt out of
Central Coast Blue.
Central Coast Blue. And it's all options on the table, and we're waiting to hear from them. Go ahead with a question.
Quick question. Do we know the reason that the OCSD didn't have a meeting this week, and that had that anything to do with the fact that Carrie was not there to run the meeting because she's on vacation or out of the office for some reason?
I have no idea. I spoke to her not long ago, so I want to say 3-4 days ago.
Yeah, she's out of the
I've
office
heard.
until next week.
Do you know, Karen?
Yeah, we had 3 meetings last month or the month before, and there wasn't that much on the agenda. And so we're kind of trying to save some money, which is purely an economic thing, because we had an extra meeting and there wasn't much to deal with. That's why.
Do you know if that's for certain reason?
Yeah, I was told that by Mr.
Oh.
Clemens. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because there's a lot of like theories out there. One being that Minnery is sick and people speculating on is he gravely ill? And I'm like, I have no
There's
idea.
that. There's the fact that Will wants to go to one meeting a month, and look,
There's all kinds of theories.
yeah.
Well, I think I'm sorry, I think really truly the basic thing was there wasn't a heck of a lot to do.
Okay, so moving on to the next item, discussion items for next agenda. And Charles just said fundraisers
Mhm.
for upcoming. So I'll make sure that that's on the agenda. And then if you guys brainstorm and think of other
Pure Avenue.
The Pure Avenue
be on the
letter.
agenda.
Yeah, we have the Pier Avenue letter, the Pier parking.
Mhm. Yeah, and I always like send out the draft agenda, and even if you think of things before the draft agenda is out, you could just email me, make sure you CC everybody always so that everybody knows, what everybody else is thinking. I think that's majorly important. Sometimes we think of just sending it to one person who's like in charge of that or has a passion for that area, but I think it's important all the board receives all communication to every single.
Is anyone going to the Oceano Airport event this weekend?
I have no idea. What's that?
What's the event?
Yeah, isn't that fascinating? They have an event Friday and they have an event Saturday.
Is that their
Friends of
yearly event you're talking about? Their yearly,
The
like,
Friends of Oceano
yeah.
event.
Friends
Oh,
of,
I
Anybody
don't know.
going to that? Does anybody want to go to that?
nope.
I went there a couple years ago with Cynthia. Because of COVID, I don't feel like going where there's crowds of people that I really don't know if they've been vaccinated, especially that my cousin is seriously ill and was vaccinated and is younger than I am. So I'm being very careful.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, it looks like we're done. We're at the adjournment of the meeting. So I think we got a lot accomplished. Was a lot of good, topics and conversation and good. It's a lot of stuff to think about.
Welcome, Karen, and thank you.
Thank
And
you.
welcome, Karen.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes. So
Welcome.
can I have someone motion to adjourn the meeting?
I so move.
Those in favor?
Bye.
Look, she's
Bye.
already
Bye.
useful.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Welcome,
thank you,
Karen.
thank you.
Bye, Charles.
Thank you, Karen.
Bye, Charles. Bye, Lucia.